Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you the swinging duck pattern, and to do that we're going to start off making the wings, the beak and the feet. This is a no-sew pattern, so you make it all beforehand and then you implement it in round later on. So to start off we're going to make the wings. I'm going to do my ducky in this cream colour. This is Yarn Smith's Chenille, and this orange colour which is Hobby Bunny burnt orange. This is for the beak and the feet, and then the main body and the wings. You're also going to need some scissors, a stitch marker, a 5mm hook, and some safety eyes in a 8, 10 or 12mm, depending on how big you want them. I'm going to use 10 today. And some polyfill stuffing also. So to start off, I'm going to use my main body colour. So you can do this in a couple of variants. You can do this in yellow, you can do this in a mallard variant. You're going to start off by chaining 2. And doing 1 half double crochet in the second stitch from the hook. Don't have to leave a long tail for this one because it's worked in round. You don't have to sew it to the body. That's why we're doing wing. You're going to make 2 of those. So once again, chain 2. And then half double crochet into the second stitch from the hook. And again, not leaving a long tail. The feet are done exactly the same way, just in orange. So you have 2 wings, and then getting your orange colour, we're going to do the feet. So exactly the same thing again, chain 2, half double crochet into the second stitch from the hook. Now, because as I said, no sewing, worked in round, and a second time, chain 2, half double crochet into the second stitch from the hook. And then you have 2 wings and 2 feet. Then you're going to make the beak, which is done really similarly, making one of these with the orange yarn again, chain 3, half double crochet in the second chain from the hook, in there, single crochet in the next chain along, and then slip stitch in that same stitch just to pull it closed. Don't leave a long tail. Trim it there, and then that's it for your orange. And then when that beak sits in, it will sit just like that. So you should have 2 wings, 2 feet and a beak, and then in the same colour as the wings. If you're using mallard, you'll do the wings in brown because the body's brown, but for this one I'm just going to do a little cream duckling colour. So to start off, we are going to grab our head colour yarn. This is my head and body yarn. I'm not going to be making any changes in this video. If you want the mallard one, please leave a comment, and the pattern will be available to buy on my Etsy or Ravelry store. So to start off, we're going to do 6 single crochet in a magic ring. You're going to do 6 increases. Once you've done your 6 increases, I like to put my stitch marker into the last stitch worked of round 2, so I don't have to do any more counting except 3. You're going to do 1 single crochet increase around, which will be 6 times, or until you have 18 stitches, or back at your stitch marker. Once we're here, you're going to do 2 straight rounds of 18 single crochets. Once you've done that, this is where the stitch marker is going to be at the back of the head, and you're going to put the beak at the front of the head. So to get around to the front, you're going to do 8 single crochets. On the 9th stitch and the 10th stitch, you're going to take your beak. So I like to do it where I have my initial chain on this side. This is where my slip knot is on the left, and then obviously I've come back on myself. I like to have it this way around. I will line it up, so I'll flip it over so that it's definitely on the outside of the head. I go through the 3rd chain that we did, which shouldn't have a stitch in it. I line it up and go into my next stitch, which will be the 9th single crochet round. I'll do a single crochet there, and then I'll go into the 1st chain that we did, tucking the tail end in between my working yarn and my next stitch. And then I'll do another single crochet into the 10th stitch around. So take up 2 single crochet spaces with that, and then my cute little beak goes in there, and then finish off the round with another 8 single crochets. At this point, you're going to add the eyes. I like to add them in the same row as my beak, so it can mean that it gets in the way a little bit of your next round. So if that happens to you, you can hold off on doing them. I'm just impatient and I like to do them quite soon on. So I do them 2 stitches away from the beak, so 2 stitches at either side of the beak. Like so, and then pop the backs on them. Once you're happy with their placement. They're in properly, make sure they're not catching on the next round. If you think they're going to, just make the next round, which I'll tell you how to do in a second, and then do the eyes then in exactly the same place. Okie dokie. And there's your little face. Once you've added your eyes, or if you're not going to do it just yet, take the stitch marker. Once you've added your eyes, you can move on to the next round, or wait until after this one. You're going to do 1 single crochet and decrease, and repeat that around until you get back to your stitch marker. You're going to do that 6 times. You can either start stuffing now or at the end of the next round. You're going to do 1 round of 6 decreases, and then either stuff now or stuff after this one. If you are doing the mallard variant, make sure you change to white at the end of this round. So on your last stitch, change to white. So you would have changed to white on that last one there. From there, you're going to do 6 increases. And then you're going to do 1 round of single crochets, so 12 single crochets around. If you're doing the mallard variant on this stitch here, you will change to brown. From there, you're going to do 1 single crochet increase around 6 times until you have 18 stitches. And then in the next round, we're going to be putting the wings in. They're going to go from the center of the head down. So if you line yourself back up with your stitch marker, then it's only about 4 stitches. If your section's a bit different or you've ended up somewhere over here, just head until you are in line in the center of the head. So it'll be one of these 2 stitches. You can decide when you get there. So single crochet to where you're going to want your wing to go. You want it on the side because it's where the swing goes. So I want mine about here. You don't want it too far back because otherwise you can't see it on the swing. The chain for the swing goes through the wing, so if it's too far back it won't sit right. If it's too far forward it will impede, it will like come in front of the face too much. You are going to grab your little wings, and in the same way we did the beak, make sure this is pulled nice and tightly. In the same way we did the wings, in the same way we did the beak, we're going to put it in round. So I like to just go through that nice big gap in the middle of my half double crochet. And like the second stitch of the beak, I'm going to tuck the tail ends in, go into my stitch that I'm working next, pull it through both, and then make a single crochet to secure it in place. And my wing is attached. I'm going to single crochet around to the other side. Which is 10 stitches before attaching my next wing. So go into the half double crochet, tuck the tail ends out of the way, and then pull it through and secure it with a single crochet. Making sure it's obviously on the outside, otherwise you won't see it. And then single crochet back to your stitch marker, or just to the back of the head. You don't really need the stitch marker at this point. Then you have your 2 little wings. Make sure it's all pulled through properly. That's how he will sit. You're then going to do 2 rounds of straight single crochet, which will be 18 single crochets around for 2 rounds. So once you've done that, we're going to put the feet on. So you are now going to single crochet around until you are in line, 1 stitch away from being in line with the eyes. So if you haven't gone to the back of the body, this might be a little bit different for you from where your stitch marker is. But just single crochet around until you are in line with the eyes. Which is 7 single crochets for me. And then you're going to do the same thing as you did with the wings. Go into that half double crochet, tuck the tail end out of the way, go into the next stitch along, pull it up, pull it through, pull it out of the way, and then secure with a single crochet. You're then going to single crochet to being in line with the other eye, which is about 4 or 5 single crochets depending on how tight yours is. Mine is 4, and then grab your other foot through the half double crochet again, tail ends out of the way. Secure with a single crochet, and then single crochet back to your stitch marker. Or to the back of the body, just where I'm going. And then you are going to do 1 single crochet decrease around. And then you can either continue stuffing now or start stuffing, or however you've done it. I'm then going to do 6 decreases, and then I'm going to start stuffing mine because I like to do it right at the end. I like to leave just a big enough gap that I can do it. Mostly I like to procrastinate. I'm going to start stuffing here. All the way up into the head if you haven't already, so push it right the way up. Make sure it's stuffed quite firmly. Keeping the tail ends out of the way. Keep stuffing. Continue decreasing. You might be a bit overstuffed, but continue decreasing until you have 6 single crochets left. Leave a long enough tail for sewing closed. Sew your little guy closed, and he should sit quite flat. Alright, and that is your finished body and head. And then to make him so that he swings, you are going to get some of your double knit yarn. I've no idea what brand this is. This was given to me by somebody, so I don't know where it's from. I've no idea even in the slightest, but it's quite pretty. It looks really good for the swings. I think it might be a Hobbycraft one. I literally couldn't tell you. It's quite scratchy, which is why I'm using it for this, not like something wearable. So you're going to take your hook and your double knit yarn, and you're going to chain 60. This makes it longer. If you can do more or less, I just feel like this is like a good amount because it's going to fold in half and come underneath. It sews in at the bottom here, so make sure it is long enough that it comes up and over the head. I might do a bit more than 60, but generally I do about 60 and it's fine. Just measure it up as you go if you need to. Okay, so I've ended up doing about 80 chains instead of 60. Leave a long enough tail that you can tie the ends together in a minute. So now this is the sewing part of the pattern. So take your chain, and what you're going to do is you're going to go through one part of the head. I'm literally picking up like one part. Make sure it's in line with your wing and pull it through. This might be a bit fiddly. Try not to break any stitches and try not to lose it. There we go. Head through the wing at any point. I like to go through the bigger part on the end of it because it's like he's holding on to it. But it's literally that he's holding on to it. Get the other end of the chain. Do the same thing. So leave like long enough tails on either end that you can weave it through. Make sure the knot, because this is the side with the slip knot on it, so it's going to be a bit harder, is like almost through the needle because it will help pull it through a bit better. Line up where you did it on the other side of the head, pick up that one part of the stitch. You can pick up more if you like, I just think it looks better if it's like just literally a piece of it. Makes it less noticeable that it's like crammed through his head. Go through the wing and out the other side. And then don't bother pulling it all the way through. At the bottom, tie a nice knot in it, nice double knot, so that it stays secure. You can do more than one knot, you can do as many as you like, but I just do the one. Pull it as tight as I can without breaking the yarn. And then if I can get both through the hook, I do. Through the needle, I do, but you don't have to. And then I just like to weave it up into the body. Try not to pull like the rest of the like chain through. Just make sure there's enough on it, and then I do another little knot through here. I don't know if it secures it anymore, but it makes me feel a bit better. And then I either trim it or I just pull it the rest of the way through so that it's right up and out of the way and not likely to come out or be pulled out, because it will just come out. And then that is your finished swinging duck. I think he's beautiful, so I like to put them on my rear view mirror